Okay, we are rolling.
Great.
All right, let's see. I'm here today with my brother, Wesley Showalter. He is a fitness machine, training clients, waking up early, the whole 9 yards. Today I want to ask him some questions. You've witnessed all my ups and downs with the weight. Can you kind of give me your perspective on that and I guess how you feel about it? It's kind of a broad question.
So I feel like there's a lot of people who struggle with their weight and their body in terms of things like they go from one extreme to the next extreme, which doesn't make you weird. It's actually, I don't want to say it's common, but it's not unheard of. Okay. I've worked with several clients who've gone through the same thing where they yo-yo diet and then they binge eat. So they go from, let's say, Lizzo to like no carbohydrates, and it's like, big weight fluctuations, and there's never any sort of steady state. It's always either like they're, obese, severely overweight, or they're like underweight or whatever the case may be, but they have a tough time maintaining a certain relatively small weight range, if that makes sense. So yeah, like it's nothing I haven't seen before, but I have seen it with you. Not like anything. You're one of many, if that makes sense. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So like I don't have necessarily an opinion so much as an observation. Like I've watched this happen several times, and I think a big part of it has to do with finding something that's sustainable and being able to build and then maintain a habit, as opposed to like force yourself into doing some really extreme thing that's not sustainable, whether it's on this end or that end. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So like you need to find a way, or anyone needs to find a way to like have a lifestyle they can sustain versus things that are one extreme or the next.
All right, I'll go kind of simple on you here and say, why did you get into the fitness game personally for yourself, and also why did you get in it for helping other people? If that doesn't already answer it, just can you speak on that?
So most of the time when you ask anyone in fitness why they got into fitness, it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be, I was an athlete and I love the training process and what it did for me on the field, or how it transitioned to sport, or it's going to be they had some association with exercise, the result they got from exercise, and the psychologically, like how the way they felt, right? They got more confident, more competent, whether it's weight loss, strength, confidence, whatever the case may be. They move better, they feel better, they're pain-free, yada, yada. So I'm kind of in both buckets to a certain extent. But I got into it initially, so I had a trainer, you probably remember Josh Knowlton.
Yeah.
When I was like, I think 11 or 12 years old. I don't know, I was really young. But I was the big kid. And so like I started getting with a trainer, and I would work out, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just with the trainer and like trying to lose weight or whatever. And I also played sports, so I was like trying to get better at sports, even though I had no athletic ability. I always had to work extra hard just to be decent. I had to bust my ass in the gym and in practice just to be okay. And that's like okay as being a long shot here. But then, like obviously when our mom died and stuff, and our dad died and all that jazz, it was kind of like, for me, it was a wake-up call of like, whoa, like life's a short ride, and your lifestyle directly translates to kind of, to an extent, your, not only your lifespan, but your hold on, let me rephrase this. Yeah, your health span. Mm-hmm. So like several fitness people talk about this now, like there's lifespan and there's health span. So like a great quote I heard recently was, a lot of people live to be 80, but they die at 30. Meaning like people are living longer now, but their lifestyles are shit, and they're on lots of medicine, and they're super out of shape, and they can't get up and down the stairs, and So like chronologically, they're living to be, 80, 90, whatever, but they're on this, and their quality of life sucks because they don't take care of themselves. And so for me, I have seen through multiple ways, like what shitty lifestyle can do to somebody down the road. So like the long game. And so for me, like exercise when I was younger, like a teenager, it was kind of like my getaway. It was like where I went, I would lift weights. It made me feel better. Like I saw the transition, not just physically, but like psychologically, I got more confident. I was, seeing the results from the training, whether it was like the weight on the bar, the way I looked, whatever it is, sports performance, blah, 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 blah. For me, it's more so like what it can do for a human being, both physiologically, psychologically, and how it translates outside the gym. Because like a lot of people, again, they tend to think in extremes. So they think like, okay, I want to get jacked, or I want to be ripped, or like I want to hook up with a bunch of people, whatever. And that's great, but you don't have to be in extremes. Like you can do, go to the gym, exercise, get your steps in, your sleep, this, blah, blah, blah. And you don't have to be a bodybuilder, CrossFitter, this, that, or the other thing. Like I'm trying to stick around a long time, and I go to places like the airport or theme parks, and I see people where like their lifestyle has directly translated to where they're at now. And I never want to be someone who, and if it happens, it happens, but I never want assistance. I don't want to be on a ton of medicines. And again, some things are genetic, some things are this, but whatever I can control, I want to control that. I don't want a slow decline. I want to like be alive and have a great life and then just die.
That answer was a lot better than I could have expected that answer to be. And yeah, I'm glad you touched on the loss thing, because obviously we both experienced that. I won't go too far into that. But some people will go a long time, obviously, or to be a grandparent when in their 30s, something like that. And it's not real until way later. You see that in movies and stuff. But then I think what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, when that happens early on, it's a lot more real, and you realize, oh, that can happen to me too. What do you think stops people who know they need to get into the gym, really want to? What stops them from going to the gym?
Could be a number of factors, but a lot of times it's that the gym is scary as shit. So like they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to walk in and think like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. Or like they don't know what to do, so they feel incompetent. They feel silly. They feel like they look silly. They're worried about being judged, which is all valid. I'm not knocking any of that stuff. Like I've been going to gyms since I was, whatever I just said, 11, 12 years old. So I feel very comfortable. I could be in this summer. I was in Germany. I felt very comfortable in the gym.
I've seen you in 40 different gyms in your Instagram story.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm very comfortable in the gym, but that's not normal. So like, so for most people, it's scary, right? You got like different people around. They're worried about judgment. Like, how are people looking at me? This, that, the other thing. So I feel like it's that. Like people are worried they're going to look stupid, feel stupid. They don't know what to do. It's basically usually some combination of that. And people don't like to feel stupid. They don't like to feel silly. They don't like to feel judged. When in reality, and I could be wrong on this could just be my own bullshit, but for me, when I see someone who's in a gym who might be heavier or not as in great a shape or whatever, I'm like, good, I'm happy you're here. I'm like, how can I help you? Like, how can I help you get better? Like, I want people to have a positive correlation with the gym. Whereas a lot of people think like, oh, I gotta go to the gym, or like, ugh, like this is gonna suck, or oh, it's gonna be so hard, I'm gonna be sore, I'm gonna be sweaty, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. And like, yeah, you're gonna be uncomfortable, because when you exercise, you're challenging your body's physiology in an acute fashion, which is smart, or whatever other language for like in a little amount of time, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. So yeah, you're going to get uncomfortable. That's part of exercise. You're challenging your body's homeostasis. You're disrupting things. You're increasing your heart rate, breathing frequency, body temperature. People, they're not consistent, because a lot of people, again, they think in extremes. So they think like, oh, I need to be dead, or I need to burn this many calories, or I need to do, this many reps, or I need to be there for this long. And it's like, that's why people aren't consistent. Whereas if they just build the habit and they keep showing up, same with like the level of effort, right? So in exercise, there's this thing called RP, which stands for rate of perceived exertion. So it's like your effort scale. And let's say it's 1 to 10, and 10 is like 100%. Like I am dead. 1 is like nothing. Most people need to live at about a 7, 6, 7, maybe an 8, right? So if you're consistently at a 7 and you keep showing up, doesn't matter if it's an hour or this or that. Versus if people try to flatline themselves every time they go to the gym, they're going to have a negative association with the gym. They're not going to want to go. So if they can't go for that hour, I'm not going. Or if they can't go balls out, I'm not going. And that compounds. And it's the same thing on the other ends, versus if you're someone who's like, all right, I'm going to keep going. It might not be an hour, it might not be a 10 out of 10, but I'm going to keep showing up. That compounds, and that compounds and accumulates into the big picture stuff. So like being consistent is always the key. Like, volume will always trump intensity, meaning like I'd rather see someone who shows up 6 days a week and keeps their effort at a 6 or a 7 versus someone who's there 2 days a week at a 10 out of 10. Because that 10 out of 10 person, don't get me wrong, on the days you feel awesome, you slept great, you're ready to go, you drank a lot of water, whatever, yeah, go for it. Like, get the fuck after it. But on the days you feel like shit, instead of not going, go.
And if you're not Arnold after a month, you don't quit. You know.
Yeah, you just got to keep showing up. Like, it takes time.
You're carrying the video, and I knew you would. You wake up early every single day, even on vacation, typically. Can you talk about that? Can you talk about discipline and etc.?
So the body likes regimen, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And whether that regimen is good or bad. So whether you go home and eat 10 Twinkies a night, or you go home and eat your chicken breast and broccoli, like, or you wake up at this time, you go to bed at this time, whatever it is. So to be healthy is all encompassing, meaning, again, your sleep, your water, your walking, your step count, your exercise regimen. It's everything you do. It's not just your workouts. And the body likes regimen. And I am very regimented myself, and I like discipline. And there's a great book called Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willing. A lot of people probably read it. And there's a chapter in that book called Discipline Equals Freedom. And a lot of people think discipline means you need to suffer and you need to do hard things and all this shit. And to an extent, maybe a little bit. But discipline is, to me, doing the thing over and over and over and over and just keep doing it. So for me, and again, everyone's different. You don't have to get up early, but I get up early every day. I go to bed early every night. And sometimes, like, I'll go to bed a little bit later or whatever, but I am very consistent, because consistency, the body likes regimen. I'll bring it back to that. The body likes regimen. Because the people that, let's say, they get up at 7 for work, like an average person probably gets up like 7 a.m. And then the weekend comes and they stay up super fucking late and they sleep late, and then Monday comes, like, ugh. But if you keep going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, you feel fine. Versus you have 2 days off, your body's a little bit out of whack. Like, you stay up super fucking late, and whatever it is. That's why people have Mondays, they feel like shit. They don't like Monday because they Friday, Saturday, and I'm not saying don't have fun on the weekend. I'm sitting here drinking a beer right now. So, like, people are like, oh my God, how do you get up so early every day? And I'm like, because I go to bed and I wake up early at the same time every day. Even when I don't want to, I wake up early every day. Normally I'm up at 5 to 6 a.m. And right now I'm on the East Coast, and I'm waking up at about 7:30, which puts me at 6:30 on Central Time. So I'm only about 30 minutes off. I like the way I feel. I like the way I train. And when you fuck up your sleep cycles, that's going to throw everything else out of whack. Like your psychology, and I'm not saying like one night's going to, well, actually it will. But your psychology, your mood state, your hunger, your this, your that, like all these other things, your recovery, all this other stuff can be linked to your sleep. And there's a great book by Dr. Matthew Walker called Why We Sleep. When we're kids, your parents or whoever tells you, like, oh, you got to go to bed. It's bedtime. And then when people become adults, they're like, oh, I can stay up late and I can watch TV and sit and eat ice cream or whatever. And, like, I can stay up as late as I want. And, like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. You're a grown-ass man. But everything has a cost of doing business. And, like, yeah, if I'm out with my friends and it's like I haven't seen them in a while or whatever, or if it's like a wedding, like, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not like every day I have to do this, but, like, you got to be consistent. So for me, my purpose, the reason I train, so, like, I train with a purpose, is I think about the long game. I think about my 50, 60, 70-year-old, 80-year-old West Show dub, and I'm going to have juice. Like, because, yeah, everyone thinks, like, oh, you're in fitness, you want to work out all the time, you fucking love working out. It's like, no, I don't. I'd rather lay down and, watch dumb shit or whatever. Yeah. Or like a day where I'm at 3 gyms from 6 a.m. to 7:30 at night, and I have to be at 3 different locations and go ba. Like, do I want to work out after I'm dealing with all these people? No, I want to sit there and I want to scroll Instagram. But I fucking block my schedule. I'm like, this is my time. I'm working out. I'm putting my headphones on. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not answering email, text, nothing. And I'm doing this for my future self.
Well, that's good. Yeah, hope for anybody. For most people that are old, overweight, etc., that it's never too late. Bit of a curveball here, but you were hit by a car while you were on your bike recently. Now, If this was a previous you, or if you weren't the tough version of you, how do you think you would have treated that? Would you have not gone to work for a month? Would you have, made excuses to everybody that you got hit by this car, etc.? Because I noticed you got right back on your schedule, the day after.
If I'm being honest, I can't answer that question because I've never been, not to sound like an asshole, but like soft. I've always kind of been like, and I'm not saying I'm a military guy or anything like that, and I'm not saying I'm the hardest guy ever, but all I know is to keep going. Whether I've had my fingers slapped or chopped off, or my knee, or my shoulders, or my this, or my that. And for me, there's like no other decision. Like I know people who have like twisted an ankle and be like, oh, I can't do,
I can't go to work
Yeah.
for 3 days.
Yeah.
I can't walk. So.
And like, pardon my French, but like that's fucking soft. And that's not just me being a hardo, but that's when you look at things like that, that's your approach to life. Like that's why those people don't move forward. That's why those people don't get better. Not to talk shit, but it's the truth. And so it's like, okay, what do I still have? What can I still do? How can I still keep moving forward? As opposed to like, here's what I don't have. Here's what, happened to me. The older I get, it's interesting because I get more compassionate about a lot of things, but there's other things where I'm like, people are just, they're soft, and like, I'm not trying to be an a-hole, but like, they're weak and they tap out early. And it's like, they tap out, people look for any excuse to be like, oh, can't do it.
Yeah,
and it's
I think with you, it comes from a place of wanting them to be better. Like, come on, man, just be better. Like,
yeah, like, well, do what you can with what you have. Like, yeah, okay, I my thumb's down. I still have my right arm. I can still do stuff with this. Okay, I tore this knee. I still have this leg. I still have this, and this. What can I do to get better elsewhere? Because what happens is when you do nothing, after one thing gets jacked up, everything gets a loss. Versus if it's like there's one part of me that's jacked up, well, the rest of me can still do something. So like those things can still maintain or get better versus having a total loss. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's like I try to, it sounds corny, but like focus on the positives and like how can I get better? What can I do? I'm not some super hard ass guy, but when I die, I don't want anyone to ever think of me as like soft or weak. I don't care what anyone thinks about me, but I guess I kind of do by saying this. So it's like I don't ever want, like when I have a funeral, I don't want anyone to ever think like, oh yeah, Wes was soft or like whatever. I don't need to think I'm David Goggins, but like I need people to be like, damn dude, Wes was a badass. Or like, and it's not just about that, but it's about like, well, I need to keep getting better, and I need to keep doing what I can, how I can, when I can.
Wes, one time we were at the playground and you shit your pants before we were going to go to hang out with your friend Sean, and you walked the whole way home with shit in your pants. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I just played tetherball, and I shit my pants, and I looked at Sean and you, and I was like, yo, I shit my pants. And
I remember I was like, oh man, what the hell do we do? Like, I was like, I felt bad, and I was just like, what do we do? And then we walked home.
We walked home, and I had pants full of shit.
And your shoe, I remember.
My shoe had shit in it. That's a very random story that I don't remember.
Dude, that's the only time, that I've ever seen that, like, I don't know, happen to somebody. I know it does, and I know especially when people are on runs and whatever, but we were just, like, on the playground, and it was funny, but it also, it was like... Well, do you care if I put that in the video?
No.
Well, Wes, thanks so much for sitting with me today. Wes has so many certifications. Well, if you want to say them all,
no.
Dude,
no.
I don't even know the names of them, but
what I do want to do? You ready for this? Is this going to be a video?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Dude, you missed my nuts.
Oh.
All right. All right. Ow. Okay. You hit me in the thigh. All right.
Whatever.
Anyway. Hell yeah. Comment, rate, subscribe. Guys, slap that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Hit the like button.
Love you, bro.
I love you too. And I always looked up to Wes, my brother, so I still do.
Subscribe, motherfucker.
Dude, that's going to be good.